How are you doing? How are things?
Not too bad, no. Very good.
Excellent. There you go. Looking well.
Very enjoying myself here.
So congratulations. It looks a bit sunnier. The last time I was talking to you was is the weather improved or is it just?
Yeah, I mean, we had that 1 week of good weather there when I was in the mountains. That was incredible.
And when you say that 1 week, that was the week that you did your climb on Fitz Roy. Is that the kind of like the magical thing when you're looking that you actually get the break in the weather? It's like you were watching, looking out for that.
Yeah, completely. Yeah. I was like, you check the weather forecast every day, and a lot of times you'll see something at the end of the forecast, but lots of time it will disappear when the date comes closer. And this one just stayed and it grew bigger, and then like the day before I checked the weather and I saw it was still there and it looked really good, and I just got really, really excited. I had this thing that jumped into my mind, somewhere in the long winter nights, and of trying this traverse of the whole Fitz range. And I saw this window and I just got really excited. I didn't think I was ever going to get it. It's more like kind of I thought, it wouldn't hurt to just like dream about it and just start planning it and look at the guidebook and see if I could piece it all together. And then this window just appeared right on my 40th birthday.
I saw that. And just let people know, they're the highest Fitz Roy. People will know it's the logo of Patagonia, isn't it? They use that range, and it's 10 peaks. And I love the name. You came up with the name, I presume. You called it the reverse moonwalk.
Yeah, I called it the moonwalk because I don't know. I thought it would just be a fun name because the Fitz Range Traverse was done first in the other direction. I did it from south to north.
First solo as well, is that right? That's a major achievement to do that. My very special guest this week is the world-renowned climber Sean Villanueva O'Driscoll, who has put the last 13 months in lockdown in Patagonia to record-making use. In what is already considered one of Patagonia's most iconic climbs ever, Sean completed the first solo traverse of the Fitz Roy Massif in Argentina in February this year. Colin Haley, one of the world's top climbers, said of this climb, "There is no doubt that this is one of the most impressive solo ascents ever done in Patagonia, and I can't help but wonder if it isn't simply the most impressive ascent ever done in Patagonia in general." As well as being a great climber, Sean he's famous for his playing the tin whistle, and he's been learning the uilleann pipe while in lockdown. So make sure at the end to listen to a lovely rendition there from Sean at the end. Sean is considered a genius by his peers in adventure climbing, and I hope this interview shows his love for climbing, the mountains, and Patagonia in particular shining through. The interview is in 2 parts. I originally interviewed Sean in winter and again last week. Listen now to how he did that already famous climb and learn how he got to that point. Unbelievable, and it's great to see you're getting recognition all over the world. So I'm delighted to see that. I mean, it's brilliant, isn't it? Fair play.
Yeah, it's incredible. Yeah, I mean, I can't get over the amount of attention it's getting. Yeah, I suppose it's like a really obvious line that people can really understand, and that speaks to the imagination, and that people can understand that is difficult and long and hard. And also, well, maybe also people are just happy to be talking about something, something different in the pandemic and all that, and something exciting.
I know. And I always say there's a silver lining for everything. So the fact that you were stuck in Patagonia in Chelten you've been there for like 13 months, I think, so this came out of that, really, didn't it?
Completely, yeah. I just can't get over how like everything lined up and everything just fell into place. This was just a thought that was in my mind, and it was like a dream. I never thought it was really going to happen, and then just everything just kind of fell into place. And even on the traverse, like I guess mentally I was just so prepared because I'd visualized it so many times, and I'd studied the guidebook and taken notes and everything, that during the traverse everything just flowed, and everything felt very natural. Obviously I had my setbacks. My rope got damaged on the very first day. My haul bag broke, and I had some setbacks, but I mean, it didn't really matter to me. Like, it was just, I was just excited to be there and to finally be living this thing that I'd been dreaming about and preparing, you know. And I was just so happy to be up there on my own and living this experience. And the whole time during the whole traverse, I was just motivated and excited the whole time and happy to be there. You know, I would wake up every day before my alarm clock, like right before my alarm clock, I would wake up and I was feeling full of energy and just happy to get going and just full of energy the whole time.
And you used
The
to
only time
meditate. Is that right? Every morning you would meditate before you
yeah,
would. So, and you no
yeah,
phone, is that right? So you were just, it was sort of not just doing this thing, but it was getting, being on your own and no contact with the outside world. That was part of it, wasn't it?
totally. Yeah, yeah. To me, like, what really motivated me to do this was to live this experience of being out there in the mountains on my own and move over that terrain. You know, at first my plan originally was not to tell anybody that I was going to do this and just do it and not tell anybody about it. But then the day I left, the morning I left, I told my friend Juan, on whose land I'm living, and then I told Rolo, the local guidebook author, because I wanted to get his thought on the forecast, the weather forecast, the winds. Like, he's very knowledgeable about the forecast and everything. So I just wanted to get his opinion on the weather. And so I told those two. They're the two only people I told. And then somehow when I got back to town a week later, the whole world knew. Like, I had my inbox was full, and yeah, I got like thousands of messages, and yeah, it was crazy.
And your plan was, you gave yourself 10 days to do it, didn't you? But you did it in 6.
Yeah, like just estimating how long the traverse would take. Obviously, I didn't know because it hadn't been done before. I was the first to do it on my own, and on your own, you're a lot slower and everything. And the two guys that had done it before as a team, Tommy and Alex, they're the best climbers in the world, and they're extremely fast, and they climbed everything climbing at the same time. So I calculated that I would need at least 10 days. So I had 10 days of provisions and everything like that. I knew I wasn't getting 10 days of weather, but I thought, I might as well try. And yeah, I ended up doing it in 6. Yeah, which, yeah, I mean, I was surprised that I was able to move that fast over that terrain with such a heavy backpack on my own and everything. And yeah, I don't know what happened. It's just everything fell into place, and everything flowed. And I just tried to keep a rhythm the whole time. I was trying not to go fast, but just to keep a good rhythm and keep moving, and wake up early and finish late. And like I said, I felt full of energy the whole time. I never really got tired or anything. And I was saying to myself, like, as I started, I was saying to myself, okay, Sean, this is a marathon, not a sprint. So take your time, keep your rhythm, and just enjoy the process. And yeah, that's exactly what I managed to do, but that's exactly what that's exactly what I visualized and everything. The winter nights here in Patagonia are very long, so I spent a lot of long winter nights in my caravan, and I would just dream about this traverse and visualize it, and try and visualize what it would feel like, and how I would move over the terrain and everything. And somehow, I was prepared when it happened.
I saw a video that you put up a while ago, and you it was like you were messing. It was like a parody. I think it might have been to the Rocky music or something, but it showed
Yeah.
you like in the river and lifting logs. And then I saw a good comment from someone underneath that said, "You're joking, but not really." Probably said that is your and that probably was your training, was it? It was.
Actually, it was, yeah. Like the whole winter long and everything. The whole winter, like I would like, that was kind of my morning routine. I'd get up and go to the river. Jump into the river. Sometimes it was like -10 or -20 degrees Celsius. It was freezing. There was snow, like a meter of snow or whatever. And every day I went into that river every single day. And then I would go for a run and do some push-ups and pull-ups and lift logs and do some stretching and stuff like that too.
So when you were doing your days, like how long were they? You'd start climbing at around 5 in the morning?
Yeah, just like when the light.
Wow.
So yeah, I would wake up around 4, and then yeah, around it was more like around 6. The first light would appear, and then So I'd start climbing around 6, and then I would just keep moving all day, just focusing on keeping a good rhythm. And then I would finish around 10 o'clock at night, find a good place to pitch my tent, and and then I would have to start melting snow to get water for the next day for cooking that evening itself. And then so I'd finish that stuff around midnight or a little after midnight.
And just for people that don't know, like when you say your tent, I mean you're literally, your tent is hanging off the side of the mountain, isn't it? Off the rock face.
Yeah, sometimes it is. Yeah, there was one or two spots that I found that were tiny little ledges, just the size of a kitchen table or something like that, where my tent would just barely fit on. Half of it would be hanging off the edge of the cliff. You wouldn't want to roll over in the middle of the night. But it's just, I was really lucky too, like with the spots that I found, and to find the place that comfortable right when I needed it. I was extremely lucky. I can't get over the luck that I had, and there was one day I stopped early because there was strong winds and I couldn't rappel. It was kind of dangerous to rappel in the strong winds. And right then there was this perfect little flat ledge for me, to put my tent. It was perfect, and I could stop early and rest a little longer and enjoy the sunset and enjoy the moment. And
play your tin whistle.
Play some tin whistle, yeah. I played tin whistle on every summit and every little bivvy, spot, anytime. Yeah.
And the way, the way it worked, it was working for you. Did that give you energy then? Did you never feel tired or?
Yeah, like I said, I never really felt very tired or exhausted, no. And the tin whistle definitely helps to relax and to get into the moment, and just to remind yourself that to enjoy yourself and to be in the moment. The tin whistle definitely helps.
Do you know that moment, like when it was your birthday and you're halfway through? Are you kind of nervous because it's kind of, you've still got the bit to go, or were you just in the zone at that stage?
I have to say, I was very much in the zone, and I didn't really care. I wasn't really looking at the end. I wasn't really looking at doing the whole traverse. It was more just like, all right, let's enjoy the moment and see how far we can get. Even the very first day when my ropes were damaged, I was convinced I wasn't going to get very far, because with damaged ropes, you can't, your main rope is what you need, for climbing and rappelling and all that. And but I just said to myself, all right, I'll tape it up so I don't see the core, I don't see the damage. I'll just put some tape on it, and then I'm just going to keep moving and see how far I can get, and somehow the rope held out all the way till the very last rappel. My very last rappel, the sheet of the rope came off the core and it slid down, and so my rope was completely destroyed on the very last rappel. And I was happy then. There was only walking left from then on. I didn't need the rope anymore, so the rope had done its job. But just I can't get over the luck I had.
That's sort of fate, isn't it? When that happens, like in your last. Yeah. I mean, that's amazing. How did you feel then? That moment when you were finished? Were you? Is it elated or just, I don't know how?
I was super happy. I was just like, it was like a dream come true, and I was still reminding myself to live the moment, and that's kind of when the fatigue set in too. Like just when it was all finished and done, and all of a sudden I could feel the fatigue come into me. Like before that, I was feeling energized the whole way, and that's when I got tired, and I started walking back and to town. And I had plenty of time. It was only early afternoon, so I had plenty of time to make it all the way back to the town. But there was this beautiful little place in the meadows with a boulder and everything, and a little stream. It kind of looks like some mountains in Ireland or something, like maybe the Mournes or something. Just a beautiful little spot. And I was like, oh, I'm not ready to go back to town yet. I'm going to spend another night here and enjoy this moment, So I stopped early in the afternoon, and I stopped there, put up my tent, and just rested and soaked it all in. Went for a dip in the little stream, and found some berries, like some wild berries I could eat, and just enjoyed the place and just enjoyed that moment. And it was like a dream come true, really. And then the only reason that I was anxious to get back was to make sure that my friends weren't worried. The two people I had told that they weren't worried that because it had been a while. It had been 6 days, or it's been 6 days. So I was worried that they would be worried and that they would try to start off a rescue or something. So the next day I walked the town early, and I walked into my friend's house, and all of a sudden the whole world knew about it. Yeah.
I'd say it was very emotional, was it? When
Very emotional, yeah.
And then the word got out around the world, which is brilliant. And it's lovely that it's Patagonia, because I associated Patagonia with you so much, and so it's lovely that it's all come together. I have to say, congratulations.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you, Fergal. Yeah, like I said,
yeah.
it was like a dream come true. I don't know how. I just feel extremely grateful and lucky that everything just happened like it did.
So, Sean, you're very welcome to the podcast. Can you tell me how you pronounce your full name? Because I want to. I make you up either. I call you Villeneuve, but I have a tendency to make words up. So how do you pronounce your full name?
Yeah, it's Sean Villanueva O'Driscoll.
Okay, and what is the Villanueva part?
My father is Spanish.
Okay.
He's from Madrid.
Okay. Yeah. And I have been following you for years. And do you know what? I couldn't figure out, are you Irish? Are you not Irish? And it was only this week when I started looking you up that I discovered you're Belgian officially by birth.
No. Well, yeah, actually, yeah, I was born and raised in Belgium, yeah. But I don't have the Belgian nationality. My nationality is Irish.
Is it? Okay, you have an Irish passport.
Yeah, I have an Irish passport and Spanish, but I don't have the Belgian nationality. But I was born in Belgium. So when people ask me where I'm from, I usually tell them I'm from Belgium, because that was where I was born and raised.
Okay.
If they ask me what nationality I am, I tell them I'm Irish.
Because you have the most Irish accent. You have a stronger Irish accent than me. Did you spend loads of summers in Ireland, or?
Yeah. I spent when I was young, I used to spend all my summer holidays in Ireland, and every Christmas, but usually I'm every single Christmas I'm in Ireland. I have a big family, lots of cousins and aunts and uncles, and you
very much so you got that from your mother, I presume. You have a very strong Irish identity, and I would think you're known as, I call you the tin whistle climber. So you're famous. You have your tin whistle, and I love clips of you. You know, you produce a tin whistle at sunsets, or you're hanging off some ledge and the tin whistle comes out.
Yeah, it's the perfect instrument. Yeah.
Easy to carry.
To carry around, for the mountains. Yeah, so it's very small and light, and it's a great instrument. Yeah.
And I saw a great clip of you. I think that was yesterday on Instagram. Was it? We were singing "Oh Ro," or that song "Oh Ro." Am I right? Was that yesterday? It was brilliant. Hanging off a mountain.
So that was last week. It was the first decent weather window, since the whole winter and everything, and I was up in the mountains, and it was a perfect day. Like it was nice and warm, and you don't get many of these kind of days in Patagonia here, and things just felt so easy, especially after this cold winter where everything is hard, like tying your shoelaces is hard, and it was nice and warm, and everything felt so easy up in the mountains, and it was amazing to be rock climbing, and it felt so good to be back in the mountains. And so I sang Oroshadu Vahawalia, welcome home, now that the summer's coming, and it felt like the summer was coming. So yeah.
So your whole life, to introduce you to people, you are a climber. What would you call yourself? Would you call yourself a rock climber, or what? Or just a climber?
Yeah, I usually say I'm a rock climber. Yeah.
And you've been doing it all your life?
Yeah, since I'm 13 years old. Yeah. I'm mostly known for like what's called big wall free climbing. So it's like the biggest rock faces in the world, multiple days, and a lot of times they're in the mountains. So it's kind of a crossover between like mountaineering and climbing and all that kind of stuff. But what I really love to do is like huge, giant rock faces.
And I noticed, I don't know what site I saw it on, but it was interesting because it said your career highlights. And the first thing that you had on it was Snell's Law mirror wall in the Burn.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I don't know what
Brilliant.
website I saw that, but I was impressed. So your first career highlight was the Burn, where I'm from. I'm from Clare. So I was impressed.
Yeah. I love that place. Yeah. It's brilliant. Yeah.
Was that on the
No.
sea? Is that a
Yeah.
place? Is it? And even
Yeah.
there,
Then Aladit, next to Doolin, and it's a beautiful place next to the sea. Beautiful sea cliffs.
I noticed that from reading some of your articles, what comes across is your love, your passion for climbing, your enthusiasm.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I love what I'm doing. Otherwise, I wouldn't be doing it. But I feel very privileged to be able to live this life and to be able to, travel around the world and climb all these incredible places and visit like some of the most beautiful places in the world. And
clip of you recently, you were in a tent and you opened up the tent and it was sunrise and it was just, oh my God. I'm a big sunrises and sunsets are my thing. But to be up a mountain, to be hanging on a ledge and open up your tent and see that, it must be amazing to wake up in the mountains.
Oh, it's absolutely, it's one of the most magical moments, you could ever live. It's absolutely incredible, to be way up there out in the middle of nowhere and just, how it is, like the light and the sounds and just the power of it all, the energy and the absolutely magic. Some of the longest times I've spent on a wall, like without touching the ground, it's up to like 20 days on a big rock face on a vertical world, without touching any ground, without walking. When you come back down after 20 days of hanging, it almost feels strange. Your legs feel weak, it almost feels strange of walking, because sometimes we get stuck in bad weather and stuff like that, and so we spend days hanging in these like small hanging tents, called portalage. Yeah, you're in a different world, but I absolutely love that stuff. And then when you come back down off the mountain, you learn to like appreciate all the little things, like the little comforts and stuff like that, and like being warm and like having running water, like just you have water coming out of a tap, it's so easy, and or just a hot shower and things like that are absolutely amazing, or just food that you can eat, or just have as much water as you want. To have water, you need to make water, you need to melt snow and stuff like that, and everything is difficult, and when you come back down, you just appreciate everything, well, even up there you appreciate it.
But it's a lovely way. I've done lots of trekking, so that, like say in Annapurna and in India, and I did Tour Stilpania, and you're right, like I remember in Tour Stilpania, I spent the whole time just thinking about the steak. That's the whole focus, was that steak I was going to have when I came down. It makes you appreciate those things more, doesn't it?
It was actually in Torres del Paine that we spent 19 days on the wall, and it was we had very bad weather. It was snowing almost every day, and Torres del Paine is an absolutely amazing place, and it was on the central tower. We climbed the east face of the central tower, so that's the big tower of the three towers, and we freed a line, which means that like free climbing is when you use your hand and feet, and your ropes are only there to protect yourself in case you fall, but you don't use the ropes to go upwards for upwards progression, or you don't use pitons, and you don't pull yourself up on the gear. And we freed a line that was a British route that was offered by Paul Pritchard and by some Brits, and it was absolutely amazing.
And did you run out of food on that trip?
We did run out of food. We only had food for 15 days, so the last few days we had to ration, and we were like we'd have like one meal a day, it was a soup or something, and we lost a lot of weight on that climb. And
how was your energy levels? Like, did you find that?
It was okay. It was okay. Your body kind of gets used to like burning fat, and stuff like that.
I bet you really appreciated that soup. Every mouthful. I remember many years ago being on with a mate, being on Inisheer, and we didn't have enough money, so we had to, all we could buy was like one. We stayed over and we just had enough for, we had enough for drink, but we didn't have enough for food for some reason, and we just had enough for one packet of chips, and we're eating one chip, and they were again the best chips I ever had. One chip at a time.
Exactly. That's how those soups were tasting every day, and I remember like there was at one point we were in our tent, because sometimes we were stuck in this tent for 3 days in a row, without being able to move really, and my friend was having a hard time because he was always thinking of food, and he's like, Sean, how do you do this? Like, how do you manage not to think of food? I'm like, no, it's no bother to me. I don't need to think about food. I'm not hungry. I'm fine. And then one night, I was dreaming that I was putting this chicken in the oven, and I was pulling out this chicken, and the juice was all juicy and everything, and the fat was like dripping off it, and I started cutting into it, and I started putting some chicken into my mouth, and I was chewing away, and I was like, there's something wrong with the texture, there's something wrong with the texture of this chicken. And then I woke up and I had my down jacket, in my mouth, and I was chewing on my down jacket, with the down, the feathers of the down and everything. And I woke up and I was like, damn, I must be having a harder time with this than I thought I was, And
you've climbed all over the world, so Europe, South America, everywhere, I presume. Asia.
Yeah, a lot in the Arctic also, Baffin Island, Greenland.
Wow.
Venezuela, in the jungle that we climbed some tepui in Venezuela. Yeah, China near the Kyrgyzstan border.
Do you have somewhere that like you have a preference?
This is Patagonia is probably the places where I've come back to most. They have there's a saying here that if you eat there's a calafate berry. Do you remember those? And they say if you eat them, they're little berries on a plant. And they say if you eat them, you'll always have to come back. You'll. So the first time I came here, I ate a little calafate berry, and I've been coming back every 2 or 3 years. So I've been here like 7 or 8 times now, and always for like 3 months. Well, and this time it's for more than 12 months.
Was that last year? Was that last summer you were in Chamonix for a while?
Yeah, I was in Chamonix for a while. Yeah.
Summer, our kids, we did a bit of Tour de Mont Blanc. We went from Chamonix to Courmayeur around Mont Blanc. So we were watching it every day. And then when we came back, the day we came back to Chamonix, there was these world championships at night, with a wall, guys going up and down.
Oh yeah, wall. I was there. I think, I was there. Yeah.
Wow. Cause that was real. The atmosphere was electric. It was. So what's the climbing around there? Is it amazing? Is it? That's kind of the they consider it the home of climbing, don't they? Chamonix.
Very historical places too. One of the birthplaces of climbing, and it's got some incredible places. Especially if you go off the beaten path a little bit. It has very nice rock, and there's a lot of things to do. Yeah, I really love that place too.
Like where you are now is beautiful. Like
El Chalten it's a very small town, and it feels kind of like Chamonix or something, but less, without all the development and without all the huge development. But it's a town that's growing, but it doesn't have all the ski lifts and all that kind of stuff. It feels a lot wilder. You have to walk. Like any approach here to any of the mountains, it's at least a 6-hour approach to base camp. Wow. And then another 2-3 hour approach to the base of the mountain. So it's any climb here is kind of a big outing. You know what I mean? Like, but it's absolutely it has a mountain feel to it, and it feels like there's a lot to do here. Like you just you just you can just walk anywhere, and you're out in the wild, and you can go for long treks. Like there's out in the wild, and there's lots of rock climbing too, like just next to town, just outside of town. Yeah.
And is there a whole community of you? Like, is there a certain group? I notice you're with, people, different people, but notice faces reappearing and stuff when I'm following you. Like, is it a small community, that rock climbing community that you're part of?
Yeah, it kind of is, yeah. It's a very strong community, wherever I go, I can make friends, and, just thanks to rock climbing, so, and straight away, wherever I go, you're part of this community, and you make friends and stuff like that. So a lot of times I might travel on my own, I go traveling on my own, and I'll find people to climb with no bother, no problem. Yeah, I think the most important thing, when you're when for what I'm doing and stuff in for everything that I'm doing in the mountains is, to enjoy yourself, and to know why you're there, and don't put pressure on yourself to think that the summit is the most important thing. I think the most important thing is the experience, and to enjoy it. So you can't you can't be afraid to back off, or to go back down and things like that. Yeah, we enjoy. I mean, we enjoy ourselves when we go into the mountains, and that's why. We also bring our musical instruments. Like my friend, my main climbing partner, Nico, who's from Belgium, he always brings his guitar, which is a little bigger than the tin whistle. So, and I mean, it's kind of difficult to bring these kind of instruments with you on the wall and stuff like that, to into the mountains, especially a small guitar. My tin whistle weighs nothing. But yeah, and his brother Ollie brings a small squeeze box, like it's a concertina, and yeah, but for us, these instruments, they make these musical instruments, they're kind of part of our climbing kit. They give us like energy, and things like that. Like one year we won the golden ice axe, like, which is the biggest recognition you can get in alpinism, in alpinism. Yeah, it's a huge thing, and we got it for some of our ascents that we did in Greenland, and we got some critique. We got criticized for that too, because people were like, they're bringing musical instruments. Some people were saying they're bringing musical instruments. How can this be cutting edge climbing? They bring. And so, but we love that. We thought that was very funny when we got that kind of criticism. And on a wall like this, sometimes it can be very heavy, very daunting, like, because there are moments where you get scared, and where things are hard and stuff like that, and where the climb gets very kind of heavy. And when you're playing music, it just lightens everything up, because it brings you back into the moment, and it kind of when you're playing music, it kind of brings you back to the essence, just about living the moment and kind of enjoying yourself. And also, when you're playing music, you're not waiting, because a lot of times when you're in this bad weather, you're kind of waiting for good weather. But when you're playing music, you're not waiting, you're busy, you're doing something in the moment, you're being creative, you're expressing yourself. Exactly. And so we're here, like, in the mountains in bad weather, in this little hanging tent, playing music. We're enjoying ourselves. Exactly. And so when the weather does turn good, and when it is time to climb, we haven't wasted all our motivation. Hasn't been like, what I kind of say is, like, when you're waiting, it's like a rat. It's kind of eating your motivation. It's eating at your motivation, and your motivation is dying, when you're waiting. But when we're playing music, we're not waiting, and so our motivation doesn't get eaten away by the rat, Mm-hmm. And so when the weather does turn good, we're still motivated, and we feel a lot lighter, I would say, because because it can be really heavy sometimes, you know. And so our musical instruments are I think it kind of, in a way, it makes sense, you know, to be playing music up in the mountains.
Yeah, do you know what you're reminding me is you're kind of describing, you know, in Ireland, particularly in the past, you know, in the pub, the music, that's kind of what it was as well. It was like it's rain, particularly, you
Exactly.
know, in winter, like just say our bar, you know, we do a traditional session on a Monday and it's in winters, the time proper, you know, like it's raining outside, it's cold, you're in the pub
Yeah.
and the fire is on and there's music. It's the same kind of thing. It's like we're going to enjoy the time of winter, not wait for the summer.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a similar kind
Yeah.
of thing. That's the Irish thing in your
Yeah.
blood, I think, you know.
Yeah, it lifts your spirits for sure. Yeah, and for me, yeah, with my family, like they're a lot into singing. You know, we'd have huge sing songs every Christmas and stuff like that. We'd come together and we'd have huge sing songs. You know, sing all sorts of Irish traditional songs. And then when I started climbing, my friend Nico, he's been playing guitar since he was 6 years old, and so we started traveling around, hitchhiking and sport climbing and going to cliffs and stuff like that. And he was playing guitar, and I had this I had all these songs, these traditional Irish songs. So I would sing Irish traditional songs, and he would just improvise and play along with his guitar, you know. And then I was like, I need an instrument too, you know. One day I was like, I need an instrument too. And then the tin whistle was kind of the logical thing to start off with, because it's very easy. It just as it's, you know, it's easy and it's easy to carry around. So I started playing the tin whistle.
Is there like a mountain or somewhere that you haven't done yet that's on you probably have millions on your bucket list?
Yeah, there's still lots of things I'd like to do, but Antarctica kind of, you know, the South Pole kind of has this special feel to it, because it's probably the most isolated place in the world, and there's some big rock walls there, like there's some big mountains there, and obviously the huge difficulty there is the cold. It's very very cold, so for free climbing is very very harsh conditions, you know, because for free climbing you need your fingers, and so you can't really free climb with gloves and stuff like that. So that's one of the hard things. And then the other huge major difficulty of is getting there, obviously, because it's very hard to get there. You know, there's no commercial flights and stuff like that.
True. And what about in Europe? Like, is that a silly question? Like, is everything been climbed in the Alps? Are there places left in Europe to climb?
Yeah, there's lots of places. Yeah, there's lots of places and lots of things to do in Europe. Yeah, you know, I travel all around the world, but in Europe there's plenty of stuff. Like I'd be happy out. Like I could stay in Europe and be happy out. Like I've plenty of challenges in Europe. Yeah, even in Ireland there's lots of stuff to do, and there's lots of potential for great adventures. You know, like there's some places that feel very very isolated too. That kind of feel like small expeditions in Ireland. Like if you go on the islands, like I was out in Owie Island. Owie, it's near Donegal.
Okay.
And it's a small island, you know, that's been there's an abandoned village there, you know. There's so and you ask a fisherman to go and drop you off. So this fisherman goes, he drops you off on the island, and then there's lots of sea cliffs, you know, and you're just on this kind of island where there's an abandoned village, and it kind of feels like an expedition, you know, even though you can see the mainland, you know, it's not that far away, but there's stories of you know, of climbers being out there and storms coming in and they can't make it back for a few days, you know, so they show up late for work, you know, because they show a few days late for work, and then they have to explain that they were out on an island and the weather was too bad for the fisherman to come pick them up, you know.
And tell us, have you done the Eiger? I presume you have, or have you ever gone up that? Or
yeah, last year we put up a new route on the north face of the Eiger.
Wow.
And that was absolutely amazing. Yeah, that was absolutely incredible.
Why is it so famous?
I think the history and stuff, and I think for a long time was kind of like the north face of the Eiger was renowned as the last big challenge of the huge challenge of the Alps. I think it's just a very steep face, and it's north facing, you know, just the history around it and everything.
So
Yeah,
was that amazing then to do a new route up it? Was that a buzz?
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely incredible, you know, to just to be up there in this historic mountain and that has such a huge reputation, and to be able to put up a new line on it, you know, where nobody's ever been, you know, to be the first exploring this new ground, like new vertical ground, you know, you're climbing up and you don't know if it's going to be possible. You don't know where you're going. You don't know what you're going to find. You know, if you're going to find protection. You're running it out above your last piece, way above your last piece, and yeah, it's very exciting stuff. It's like exploration, some shouting and stuff going on when we reach the top, and some singing or whatever. Yeah.
So my last question that I ask everybody is, so it's essentially, if you take 4 deep breaths and you think of your happy place from your travels, where would that be and why?
Ooh. Um, yeah, I suppose it would have to be where I am now, you know, Patagonia, because it's just such a powerful place, you know, so much. It feels very wild, and I think just the the the, the, the like the ferocious weather and everything just adds to that, you know, and it's there's just it feels so wild and so wilderness, so much wilderness and so pristine, and yeah, it's just an incredible place. The views, the light, you know, the way the, the shape of the clouds and the way the sun and the light comes through the clouds and things like that. It's just a magical place.
Yeah, it's funny. I ask people about recommending somewhere, and I kind of, it's a tricky one, like, because it's so far away and hard work to get there to, say
Mm.
towards Silpania. But I always say, if you could, that's where I'd recommend, because you really feel like you're at the end of the world, don't you? There- You know,
Exactly.
and the
Yeah.
weather, as you say, the weather is part of it, because it's literally each
Yeah.
day I'm just walking, but each day is like, will we be able to get to the next place or not? Or will we have to go back? And it's part,
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the wind here is just incredible. It's just how powerful it is. Like there's days you can't walk, you can't stand up. You know, you're on all fours, like crawling just to. And we've had approaches where we're just like it feels like a war zone, you know, we're just running from one boulder to the next trying to protect ourselves from the wind, because it's incredibly powerful. It's just incredible.
Hopefully I get to see you sometime, maybe when you're in Ireland. I'm in Clonmel. So anytime you're around this, actually the Cumra's, I don't know if there's much climbing, but there's loads of mountains, the Galties, the Cumra's, Knockmeal Downs,
There is
surrounded by
climbing,
them.
yeah, there's some amazing
Yeah.
there's some very good climbing in the Cumra's. I love that place. Yeah,
Is
it's
there?
very adventurous climbing, very
Yeah.
adventurous climbing. Yeah.
Good. Yeah. No, I love it. I love it here.
I've been learning the Uilleann pipes for 3 years now, and but I spent a lot of time here in Patagonia. I was very happy that I brought them along with me to Patagonia, because obviously during the lockdown and everything, I spent a lot of time in them, and I'm enjoying them an awful lot. They're a very difficult instrument. I just have a practice set, but I've been enjoying it a lot, and yeah, it's brought me a lot of good moments and joy, and I like walking off, into nature and playing some tunes out there somewhere on my own. So I'll play a little tune for you. This one's
Ew.
called the Blarney Pilgrim.
And congratulations again.
Thank you.
Beautiful. Excellent.
I would ask if you could please subscribe to Apple Podcast so a new episode will appear in your library every week. I would also really appreciate if you could leave a rating and a review, as it helps others to discover this podcast. To find out who's on every Tuesday, please follow me on Instagram and Facebook at Travel Tales with Fergal.
Stay safe and keep dreaming of future travels.
Travel Tales with Fergal.